Hi, this is Kelly.
And this is Jenna. You're listening to ODFM.
This episode is One Dance from Murder. Hey guys, just a side note on this episode. This was our very first one that we ever recorded, so the sound quality is not so great. But try to enjoy the story. It's a good one.
Yes, my story's fun. Well, you've probably seen it on, I don't know, did you ever watch what was it, 48 Hours or Dateline? It's been on a lot.
I remember you telling me there was a 48 Hours or Dateline, and I was wanting to watch it, but I can't remember if I did or not.
Yeah, they filmed some stuff outside of my house. So this is, okay, so.
It's so weird. Okay, start from the beginning.
Okay, so it's the story of Miriam Helmick. She was known as the Whitewater Widow. And
she got a cool name, huh? She got a cool name out of it.
Yeah.
The Whitewater Widow. That's hard to say.
It is. The
Whitewater. We'll just call her W3.
Okay, I'm just going to W3 was
W3
my neighbor back in 2006 to 2008. We lived out in Whitewater because that's how she got her name, obviously.
Okay.
It's a rural,
makes sense.
Right. Yeah. It's a rural area outside of Grand Junction here in Colorado. And in that particular area we lived in, every house had at least an acre of land. And our house, I know, it was nice. Our house butted up to their land, which was a total of 40 acres, I think. But our houses were only still about 150 feet apart, so you could still see each other. And one day, it was like hot and windy, which is always so hot on that side of Colorado. Like you would not know Colorado is like this. It looks like Arizona on that side of the mountains. So they call it the Western.
Weird.
I know. It's really, we had scorpions and stuff. I mean, it's like Arizona.
In Colorado?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yes. I know.
Interesting.
Very different, but only on that side. On this side of the mountains where we live now, no.
Just a quick side note. Is it wrong? And maybe it's not seeing as what we're talking about, but when you start telling me about how much land you had, the first thing I thought of was, wow, that's a lot of places to bury a body. It's a lot of acre. That's what came to mind was I was like, oh, that's interesting.
Things come in with that because she has those 40 acres.
See, I've watched way too much. Okay.
Yes, see, you're a very good investigator. So, I have to look at the date. Oh, yes, it was June 10th of 2008. And I only know this because I looked it up. Otherwise, I wouldn't remember it. But I was outside with my 1-year-old and 3-year-old boys back then. But I remember seeing, I know we're old. I remember seeing an ambulance over there and a bunch of cop cars at the Helmick's house. And I was like, what's going on? I better stay out here and watch. And I'm watching and more cars keep coming in there, all these unmarked police cars. So stay out there a little bit longer. And eventually a cop comes over to my house and he's like, hey, I got to ask you, have you heard anything strange this morning? Or, and I was like, well, it's been really windy and it's always super windy out there, like 80 miles per hour wind. And so I heard things banging around, but so I wouldn't have known. And I was like, is everything okay? And he's like, no, Alan Helmick has been killed. No. There's been a robbery homicide next door. So
they're allowed to tell you that like right away. They're just like, yep, it's a robbery homicide.
No, I was so shocked. I was like, are we okay? Should I be inside? And he's like, no, this seems like it's a set thing. Like they had a plan. So,
oh my.
I know. So I had to look up all the info about these people. So Alan was in his 60s at that time. He grew up in Delta, which is really close to Grand Junction. And actually Whitewater's halfway between those two towns. Okay. And so that's where he grew up. He had married his first wife he had been married so long. They had been together since they were 14. And he's in his 60s.
Dang.
He was super successful, multimillionaire. Okay, so this is when he's 59, he decides to go take dance lessons at this local dance place in Delta because his old sweetheart, his first wife, Sharon, she loved dancing. And so he was kind of doing it in her memory and to try to get over her.
Okay.
Where
she had passed away of natural causes?
Yeah, she had.
Okay. With the basis of this podcast, I felt like I had to ask.
Thank you. Yes. She died. Yes. And they had 3 kids together, all grown up by this time.
Okay.
He was a millionaire. He ran a local savings and loan place. So he goes to this dancing, takes ballroom dancing lessons, and the teacher happens to be this Miriam lady. Yes. And she finds out that he's wealthy, and she's like, oh, I guess I could start up a relationship with this man, Yeah, so he's 59. She was 48 when she moved to Colorado. She moved from Florida. She said that when she first met Alan, that he sort of grew on her a bit, such a gentleman and very sweet. And to me, I was like, yeah, that means he had a big wallet. So they were married not long after their relationship started in June of 2006. So it was like 6 months or something.
Oh my.
Just met. And it was weird because we had met them before they got married. She moved in and he introduced us, and she never really spoke. She was really kind of weird. And I just kind of remember that being like, because Alan was super outgoing and friendly and kind. And I probably only met him 3 times total. But
this house that was next door, was that his house with his previous wife?
No. No.
Okay, good.
Got it for Miriam because she wanted a place where she could raise horses. Yes. And
damn.
Big estate. Yeah, it was beautiful, this house. It must be millions of dollars now, especially in Colorado. But so shortly after they got married, Alan started becoming sick, like a lot. In fact, so sick that he would be sick for months at a time. He was constantly dizzy, and his kids claim that he was always healthy before this. So
I think somebody else has also seen the movie The Sixth Sense.
Yes. I think she's seen a lot of movies. Yeah. So, and almost as soon as they got married, nobody could get a hold of him. So like you would try to call his phone. And I remember trying to call his phone to talk to him about his horses that were chewing on our fence. And you couldn't get through. Like it would go to Miriam and she would return all the calls. Even his own couldn't get through.
Oh, that's bad sign. That's bad news. That's bad news right away.
Not good. So he had bought her a dance studio. Also, she had wanted a dance studio, so he bought her that. It was bleeding money. It wasn't successful. So they started the horse farm where she wanted to breed horses, and apparently that is never successful. But from what
from what I know, all my money experience, raising horses, breeding horses, and dance studios they're not in the top 10. I can tell you that.
Yeah. Delta, Colorado. I can't even describe how tiny that town is. I can't imagine. I mean, I can imagine horses being popular, but not dancing. So apparently he had no clue that it was being kind of bled dry, that all her stuff was. So she started writing checks out of his account, not telling him, bled him dry of $140,000. And he,
damn,
the bank's like trying to get a hold of him, calling constantly, can't get through, sending letters constantly. But get this. Okay. So before Alan's murder, it was about a month and a half. The two of them go on a trip to Delta to do something. I don't know. And Miriam claimed she needs to use the bathroom. So she had her husband open the trunk to the car, and she said she had to get some stuff out to go to the bathroom, goes back there and goes inside the business, and he stays in the car waiting. And then while he's sitting there, the car catches fire with him sitting in it.
What now?
So
wait, what?
Yeah, the car caught fire. He's sitting in it, and the car starts.
He's sitting in the
car, and he sees a fire, and smells the smoke. He comes running out. He extinguishes the fire, finds that there was a wick that had been shoved into the gas tank. Yeah, and workers.
Well, that doesn't happen by accident. I don't care how windy it is there. Yeah. Those just don't blow in there. Okay, just does not happen.
Just blew into my gas tank.
It blew right into my gas tank.
It was insane. I don't know how that happened. But workers who were at the business that Miriam went to the bathroom in, they said they could smell gas in the bathroom after she left the bathroom. Well, so yeah, big heads up, might be Miriam.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So
oh my gosh.
We're trying to suggest to him that, it could be her. And he was kind of like, yeah, maybe. But so then just over a month after that, Miriam makes her 911 call claiming there's a robbery, and that Alan, who's now 62, is dead from a gunshot to the back of the head. Lying next to him are a 25 caliber shell casing, a wallet, and a cell phone. Apparently a 25 caliber is really weird because I mentioned it to my husband, and he's like, what kind of gun is that? And I'm like, apparently he's all Texan now.
I was like,
Here.
when did he get that accent?
I ain't seen one of them type. So, but police said the crime scene was all wrong. She claimed it was a robbery, but there was nothing stolen. And they said it looked staged because everything.
Isn't that like, crime 101? Like things have to be stolen for it to be a burglary?
At least
Isn't that?
Yeah.
What?
Come on, Miriam. So she said she left their house around that, like 8:30 that morning with money from her husband for a shopping trip. She said he went to go take a shower and then he was going to meet her in Grand Junction for lunch at a Chinese restaurant. And she said she tried to call him lots of times and he wouldn't show up, and she left all these messages on her phone.
And the only person that called her back was her.
Yeah.
Because
she answers the phone anyway.
She's the only one who answers the phone.
Wait, hello, wait. I'm so confused.
Right?
So let's see. Oh, one of the things she said, I loved reading the transcripts of the messages that she's leaving him, and like, oh, I'm here now. You should probably pick up your phone, maybe. Yeah. No, you control it.
Oh, that's right. I keep it in my purse. I totally forgot. Right. My bad.
Oh my God. And then she stopped at a convenience store in 4 other locations. She made sure she stopped at a lot of places and got receipts before she was to meat Alan.
You said planted.
Planted.
You said it's you.
Like, I threw that in there
before she planted the end. Oh,
yes.
To say that.
Let me not give away the whole story right away.
Before she planted the stuff.
It's bad.
So someone broke into their house, and it was a robbery in the middle of the day, in the morning,
in the desert, on an estate of 40 acres. That it takes. There's only one way in to their place.
Sorry,
I know you would see any car coming from a mile away. So yeah. No.
Well, you would think that you would at least wait till like nighttime or
something. No,
I feel like I could pull this off way better. I already feel like I could do this better.
You could, yes. Well, there's more. So
oh dang, okay.
I know. So she did spend the morning running errands, and that was well documented. But there was a mismatched account of how she cleared the deck for the busy day's schedule. So a granddaughter was supposed to come to the house, Alan's granddaughter, for an afternoon horse riding lesson. But early that morning, Miriam had phoned the riding instructor to cancel. The granddaughter lived about 45 minutes from their house, and they hadn't gone and picked her up the night before, she said. So that's the story she told the riding instructor. But she gave a different version of that when she talked to Alan's daughter, the mom of the granddaughter. She told her it was the riding instructor who canceled, but the instructor said she lied. So what up, Miriam?
Because when you are plotting a murder, you know that people are not going to talk to each other and compare stories. That never happens.
Yeah. And then she gave a bogus explanation for why Alan's daughter hadn't been able to reach him on the phone. She said that Alan had come home drunk the night before from Delta, which, mind you, it's a 15-minute highway drive at least. So you don't want to be. But investigators checked that story out, and they talked to the bartender and learned that Alan hadn't been in there at all. Ooh, get this. When they ran a gunshot residue test on Miriam's car, they found a curious particle on her steering wheel.
A curious particle?
A curious particle. That's all I could find out about that. But, curious. But you know how Alan had been sick for a lot of time, on there?
Oh, yeah.
Technicians examined her computer. I mean, this was so cool to hear how they investigated everything. But she was doing online searches. Oh, and this is just her computer. She had her own, separate from Alan's.
Of course she did.
Of course. Searches for Ambien overdose by purple foxglove and Viagra overdose. So Ambien's a sleeping pill. Foxglove is a poison, and Viagra is an erectile. We all know what Viagra is.
Yeah.
I don't know. But it can have serious side effects for those with heart problems like Alan had.
Oh.
Yeah. So,
well, if she was going through all that, then did she just get impatient and just decide
I think so, because he'd been sick for a long time. It wasn't working. His kids had figured that was going on, but when the medical examiner conducted the autopsy, they didn't find any traces of poison. But it could have been long enough, That's my idea. Like, I don't know.
Interesting.
I know. And maybe foxglove isn't very traceable. I haven't heard of foxglove being used for that.
I have not heard of that one.
Of course, I haven't been researching on how to poison people, but
I can't say that I have either, or at least I won't say that I have.
Okay, good.
I should not say, right?
Yeah, please don't tell us ahead of time. But then she has this friend that came to come home with her. This is after the murder. As they pull into the garage, Miriam noticed that the police tape that was along her door, I remember seeing it, and she purposely left on the front door. It had been removed. So her friend said they walked over to the front door, and underneath the welcome mat was a bright yellow canary envelope. I don't know why I needed to say it was canary yellow, but yeah. So
it helps the mind's eye to be there.
It's not just any yellow. It's not banana yellow. It's canary yellow.
Canary yellow.
Yes. And on the front, it said to the grieving widow, which I thought was funny because they showed it and it's spelled wrong. Grieving is like griving. I think they wrote griving.
The grieving widow.
The grieving widow. So they open the card on the inside of it is Alan was first. You're next. Run, run, run. So so bad. And the funny thing is she came to our house after she found that note. And luckily I wasn't home. Josh was home. And she tells him all about this note and how she found it. And from the get-go, he's like, oh, she's guilty. She's the one. So as soon as she left, he wrote down all the details, the time, everything, and contacted the detectives. So he ended up having to actually testify in the trial against.
No way.
Yes. Which he was horrified. And I'm like, oh, this is amazing. Yes.
Right? I'm jealous.
I know. I thought it was so cool. But this is so cool. So the investigators found that particular card was sold at a chain of City Market grocery stores. Do you have City Market there? You have Dominic's, right? Or
we did. They all closed down too.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
City Market's a huge chain out here.
Okay.
So, and it's pretty close to where we live there. But using the UPC code on the back of the card, they were able to trace the card to 3 purchases from the latter half of June, and they had surveillance video of those purchases. And they even showed the surveillance video, and is Miriam buying the card wearing the same clothing that they interviewed her in.
Get
crazy.
Out.
So cool.
Oh my gosh.
So
okay, that is really crazy cool.
I know. And I was like, wow, they're doing good investigations in this tiny little place in Colorado. I was amazed.
I bet she's really kicking herself that she didn't just write it on a Post-it.
Right?
Totally untraceable.
Yeah. Run, run, run.
Right.
Next.
Right? She could right. No. She had to go and buy a greeting card.
Yeah. And that they were able to trace because it was this ugly ass card that only like 3 people wanted to buy. She should have bought a better looking card.
Well, what was it? Like condolences or congratulations? Like what was the card?
They even show the front of it. And it's like an Einstein quote. And it's an old granny in a chair. And I can't remember what the Einstein quote was that's on the front. So stupid.
What an odd... Okay.
Isn't it? Yes. So, but that wasn't the only evidence. So, that $25 bullet casing they found?
Yes.
So that was her ultimate downfall because they couldn't find the gun. But Alan's daughter remembered that he had one and it was an heirloom. Oh, and this part is cool too. So this gun, it's missing from the home inventory when they do an inventory check. But 20 years earlier, that same gun had been fired in a domestic dispute involving Alan's daughter's grandparents. Her grandpa had been arguing with her grandma on their front lawn, and a neighbor saw what was happening and that the grandpa was about to shoot. So he intervened, jumped on the grandpa, and the gun went off. The bullet went to the lawn. And the investigators, they went searching for that neighbor from 20 years earlier, found him. He showed them where in the lawn he thought it was. They found the original bullet casing in the lawn.
Out.
Is that
no
crazy?
Way.
So they were able to.
That is crazy.
I know. So cool. So they were able to compare it with the bullet casing they found at Alan's murder scene and the one in the lawn, and they matched. They were from the same weapon. So that's how they were able to connect it to Miriam.
Oh, that is cool.
More. Okay, so here's why she's called the Whitewater Widow. Before moving to Colorado, when she was in Fort Collins, Florida, had a previous husband. He died of a gunshot wound to the head while lying in bed with her.
Say what?
Yeah. So supposedly, so it was his birthday. They were lying in bed.
Well, that's just mean.
I know. Of course. She woke up early. She said she was going to go do her normal exercises, but instead went back to bed. And her husband then, his name was Jack, he supposedly shot himself with a .38 that he had kept in the nightstand next to the bed because he was distraught over the death of their daughter, who died in a horrible manner. Supposedly she says he committed suicide. The investigating officer that came to the call, her 911 call, was her half-brother. And he was the one who decided it was a suicide.
Fishy.
Yes, very fishy. They couldn't pin it on her. But one other thing that was fishy about it, he was left-handed. The gun was in his right hand when they came across him, and the gunshot wound was in his right temple. So
come on, people. Details.
I know.
Details are important.
Details. I'm saying Miriam, she did it. Yeah, and his brother always thought that she did it. Let's see. Oh,
so she was kind of a suspect, but they couldn't prove anything.
After she killed Alan, Florida revisited the case, but they said once they looked at it, they couldn't discover anything new or anything that would merit reinvestigating it. So they closed it again. Yes. Oh, and during that time, she was the beneficiary of $100,000 life insurance policy of that husband that died.
Dang.
And there's more. So she ran, I know, this woman, she ran off to Florida during the investigation of her killing Alan. So this is back after she kills Alan. She leaves Colorado, goes to Florida because her son's still there. While she's there, they arrest her after they get enough evidence. They find in her purse a driver's license, paycheck stubs, and credit cards, all under the name of Sharon Helmick, which was Alan's first wife. So she was trying to take on her identity and internet files. So they took that computer that she was using in Florida, and they find that she was browsing more than 200 profiles of men on millionaire dating sites, contacting several of them, trying to start dating some millionaires. So was she planning on trying to marry another rich man and get away with it again?
This is very interesting. Also, the fact that I didn't know there were dating websites purely for millionaires. I feel like this is information that would have been useful.
Yes.
Years ago.
Ladies. But yeah, so they figured that the whole reason she killed Alan was because she was stealing from him, and that he figured it out and was going to divorce her. So she decided she had to get rid of him.
Gosh.
They never could find gunshot residue on her, but they think what she did was she showered and changed clothes before going into town, then somewhere got rid of that clothing and the .25 caliber gun. But they've never found it. And I remember them going over their land. So this is where the land comes in, with metal detectors trying to find something. And I'm guessing it was probably that gun.
Oh,
I know. So good.
Gosh. That is crazy.
I know. So she was convicted of first-degree murder, sentenced to life in prison, plus 108 years for 14 counts of fraud for all the checks she wrote. So
holy
the Whitewater Widow. I know.
The Whitewater Widow. Oh my gosh. And that was your neighbor.
That was my neighbor. So, after Alan's death too, I was so stupid. You know, my husband's the whole time like, oh yeah, it was her. It was Miriam. She totally did it. I'm like, what? No, nobody does that stuff. What? I take her a big gift basket of fruits and
get out
stuff. No, I took her this giant basket, and
you're kidding.
I shouldn't have wasted money on her. Just saying.
That's so. What happened to the house? Like, you guys still lived there? Like. Yeah. What happened to the house? Did they sell the house? Did someone else move in?
Yes. And we got new neighbors. And I remember at one point.
How did they find out about their house?
Yeah, I wonder. I don't know. I don't think we ever told them like, oh, did you know there was a murder in your
Right?
house?
How does one bring that up in casual conversation?
Like, oh, nice to meet you. Oh, do you know what happened over there?
Right, exactly.
But they were really nice. They had 8 chihuahuas, the new people that moved in.
8 chihuahuas?
It was like a game. And I know one would get the rest riled up, and you were like, your life. Yeah, maybe another.
You have weird neighbors.
Yeah, maybe don't live out in the rural areas. I don't know. Know. Maybe I'm the weird neighbor, but.
My sources for this episode are Murderpedia, deadlywomen.fandom.com, and The Last Dance on Dateline by Dennis Murphy.
Thanks for listening to another episode of ODFM, hosted by Kelly DeVries and Jenna Swanson. Production and editing by Kelly DeVries. Theme music by Eric Swanson. ODFM is a satirical true crime podcast for entertainment purposes only. The stories you hear are serious and true. The comments and opinions are not. We apologize if any of our content is harmful or disrespectful. This podcast was created using Anchor. If you have a story you'd like to submit for a future episode, please email it to odfmpodcast@gmail.com. Visit us on Facebook and Instagram at ODFM Podcast, and check out our website, odfmpodcast.com, for more information on our episodes, your hosts,